Well, all hooked up, 24 foot, imagine, going to Reno. My last two trips have been pretty smooth. I went to, since I've had the truck back running, I think I've ran 4 trips. And today, not a smooth day. So I'm here in Grand Island, Nebraska, here at the Bozeman Travel Plaza, Bozeman Pilot, and show what we got going on. The other night, I got out gonna check my lug nuts, and last night, and one of them just twisted off. I went ahead and went on around, and 3 twisted off. So I got a buddy that went to go get my wheel studs, and I'm finna replace these 8 wheel studs again. These are AC Delco wheel studs. They're the ones that come from the dealer, or the ones that come from the dealer from GM. And this time we're gonna go back with the ones from Advanced Auto Parts. That's the closest, and they had them all, so we're gonna get those. And I'm just not sure what's causing this. This is aggravating. We got a tool to put them in with, so maybe I don't have to pull against them. The only thing I can think of, y'all, if y'all remember, if y'all watch videos, I had to do this one once before right on the side of the interstate. And that night when we did it, the washers that we had to use to pull them through with were too small, and we really had to pull to get these things through. So I'm hoping getting that tool is going to help out a lot. But anyway, whenever they get back with the studs, hopefully I'll have this thing taken apart, and there's not really a lot to it. You just take the 2 bolts out of the back of the caliper, 2 bolts off the bracket, slide the rotor off, and then there's usually a keeper bolt right there that holds the rotor up tight to the axle, but they're not in there. So, but yeah, shouldn't be a whole lot to it. It is cold, so I'm probably not gonna record a whole lot, but yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, is that we overstressed those lug nuts when we pulled them through to pull them tight the last time. So well guys, I was going to try to video more of this for you, but we're having a heck of a time. These studs do not want to come through these holes, and we held them up side by side. They look identical, and they'll come in to a certain, one will come right through like it's supposed to, the next one. So I've been cleaning these holes out. Well, I'm thinking part of my problem has been that pulling on these threads, trying to pull it through with a nut, even though we have the tool here that you slide up on here, I'm thinking that we have we're stretching the threads. So my buddy went back to the parts store to get a ball joint installation tool, and what we're going to do is put it around behind, and it'll fit down over this, and then maybe we can press it through from the back. That way it doesn't stretch the threads, because we've got 2 in out of 8, and whenever we started having to hammer on them and they weren't coming on through, I just don't like that. I want them to slip on through. And it's, you know, we got the ones from GM last time, and they were the exact same way when I had to do it on the side of the road, and we had to hammer them through. We didn't have a choice. It was late at night. We was stuck on the side of the road, so we just had to pull them on through, and I think that's why I've been having issues with them loosening up. So anyway, whenever he gets back, we're going to try to figure this out, and then I'll let you guys know what we actually had to do to get them fixed. The next thing is going to be putting the parking brakes back on. That's going to be a pain in the butt, because it was last time. I mean, it's just really aggravating, but I'm hoping that's not going to be as bad as I think. But I don't know. I wish I had some spring pliers here with me. I should have gone and picked some of those up while he was there. I will tell you this. When I bought this, I was expecting it to go completely down over here. Well, my buddy asked me, did it not go this way? But if you look at it, even if you go this way, there's still a gap. So that's not going to work. And this silver piece needs to set flat down on the axle so it can spin, and it relieves the friction. It's supposed to be better than stacking washers, but I told him this time to pick up some washers too. That way we could space it out this way further, because it will not slide down all the way on the stud. It goes down to there. So if you're working on a Chevrolet 2018 Chevrolet 2500 and you're looking at this tool thinking it's going to be just a perfect fix, just remember, even on the OEM studs, which those are not OEM, but these are the studs I just knocked out, and see, they look chewed up, and that's the ones that we had to pull so hard to pull through, but they didn't go all the way down either. We tried using these nuts right here with that installation tool. Didn't work. It was pulling the threads out of these. It was pulling the threads off the studs. We tried using these because they're a deeper thread and thought maybe that would help out a little bit. Then my buddy Tony suggested that we went and got a daggum ball joint press thinking it would work. But if you look at that, that's the daggum crooked. It ain't helping nothing. So it was a good thought, but it didn't work. So then he found these at Tractor Supply, lug nuts with a washer on the bottom, and found some washers. Show you one of these washers that will fall completely down over. And we put a little grease between the washers, and then put a little bit of grease on the flange of the stud where it pulls through, and then it has been sinking them right in. We try to make sure we're gonna get a couple threads on that when it goes in, and so when we go to take it off, how that other one was ripping the threads off, this is still nice and smooth on the threads. The socket, I think, got a little bit tricky. Nice and smooth on the threads, and it ain't tearing it up near as bad as the other. And that cone shape, if you get a cone shaped lug nut, when it goes down on there, it will mess the washers up. It will dig into the washers and make them not spin. We're gonna get this other one pulled in and then put the parking brake back on. Well, it is Thursday, November 30th, just leaving Sydney, Nebraska. We planned on going on into Wyoming last night, but we forgot the port of entry closes, and I don't know how you get the Wyoming permit online. I always go through there during the daytime and buy it online, or buy it in person. So instead of chancing it and going on into Wyoming, we stopped here at Sydney. We'll be there, I don't know, about an hour or so. We'll be there to buy our permit, and then we can ease on across. We're gonna have a long day today though, to get there in time to unload tomorrow. So I rechecked my lug nuts, everything seems good. I think that issue's fixed. I think trying to pull them in with the studs or with the lug nuts and the bolts that I use, because I did use grade 8 nuts on it the last time, but it didn't work. But the nuts that Tony brought back, he said he got them, I thought he got them at Tractor Supply. He got them at Advanced Auto Parts that had the washer made into it. They worked great. And when we got done, we could take our hands and put the new lug nuts, screw them all the way up on and pull them all the way back off so it didn't damage the threads. That was a whole lot better way to do it. So I'm feeling a whole lot more confident in that I'm not going to have to mess with it again. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I will be stopping and checking them when we get over here around the port and Cheyenne. But we'll get off here, make a couple phone calls, and check back in with you guys a little later on. Well, we are finally in Wyoming. Made it to the port of entry this morning, and I cut my truck off because I left it running last night while I was sleeping. I try to reboot it every morning, cut it off, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then cut it back on. So cut the truck off, went in, got my permit and all that stuff, came back out, got in the truck with crank, no start. It spun over but would not fire. And I checked the codes with CTS3, and it said there was a P2294. It said that was a fuel pressure regulator, position 2. Now, I don't know for sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but the position 2 is in the back of the fuel rail, as far as I know. That's the easy one to get at, from my best of my understandings. So I wiggled the wires, couldn't get anything going on there. Tony was with me, and he had his fuel pump control module go bad. And I turned the key on and went to start the truck, and the fuel pressure came up. I was watching the fuel pressure, not the rail pressure, but the actual fuel pressure came up to 60 psi, and still no start. So it was saying fuel pressure regulator open circuit, position 2 open circuit. So I got to looking around at the relays, and there was one fuel pump relay, and I try to show that, but we pulled that one out, and I swapped it, and I did something I shouldn't do, is I swapped it for another relay, and I have no idea what that goes to. I disconnected the batteries while I swapped the relays and let the battery stay off for about 5 to 8 minutes, no, hardly 10 minutes. Put the battery cables back on, and with the relay swap, truck started right up, no codes. Now, I feel like I have a bad relay. I hope I have a bad relay, but it could have just been something in those ground wires. So I don't plan on cutting the truck off until I get to hopefully until I pick up a couple of those relays and get to a safer spot, a good place where if it doesn't want to start back up, I have a place to, not at the port of entry and not in a rest area in the middle of nowhere. That is kind of the game plan. But I feel like it's good now that we swapped that relay, but it could have been something where taking the battery cables loose cleared it. That relay may not even be bad. So once we get unloaded, I'm going to go find the closest O'Reilly's that I can find, and go ahead and put the relays back like they were. And if it doesn't start, I'll make a video separate from this on that, showing crank no start P2294 if that same code comes back, and then replacing that relay. Because I hear a lot of people that have, I read on Facebook and different places where people have that crank no start that and wind up changing the regulator. And in my mind, that was where I was at. I was thinking I was going to have a fuel pressure regulator, and it might still wind up that way if I shut the truck off again and it doesn't want to start again. So I don't know, but I do know that I'm going to keep a handful of those relays in here from now on because I don't have any, and I possibly will pick up a position 2 relay. And I've also heard it could be that pigtail. Imagine that, the pigtail that plugs into that so the pressure regulator. So anyway, I'm gonna try to figure this out. I should have never made the comment that I've had a couple of smooth trips in a row, because it seemed like ever since I did, one thing after another. As far as the wheel studs go, I feel 100% more secure with these, with it being like it is now, than I did before, because they went on so much. They came finally when we figured out the better way to do it, which is with that that lug nut, that hardened steel lug nut with the washer on it. When we put it on, used it and the stack of washers to pull them through, they came through so much easier. When we was trying to use a regular lug nut, we didn't have any luck with it. It kept trying to mess the threads up. So anyway, that's where we're at today, and we're gonna have to push as far as we can tonight because we got a appointment to get unloaded in the morning, and they put 3 of us in right back to back to back. Yeah, but they did say if we slept there, we could get there and sleep overnight on the dead end street behind Brad's RV, but I don't know if we'll make it or not. I mean, it's gonna be really, really tight if we do, hours wise. But Anyway, I'll let y'all know. So we just left Fort Bridger, Wyoming, headed over towards Salt Lake City on 80. And as soon as I put in our next fuel stop, which is Mill City, Nevada. As soon as I put that in, it popped up and said a winter storm may affect your route. That's not what I was looking to hear. But that's alright. I think it'll be smooth from here on across. We may see some flurries or something like that, but I think it'll be alright. Anyway, we're going to try to make it to Mill City tonight. Get up and go on in the morning. That's kind of the game plan. And that should have us in a good time frame to get in, get unloaded, and get out tomorrow. But we just been sitting here soaking up the scenery since I swapped the relays on the truck this morning. I haven't had any more issues. I've got to stop and pick up a couple of relays because I believe that relay burned out, and if that's so, whatever I swapped it for isn't working. But I'm not really seeing anything to show that there's another issue. Then again, maybe it's where I pulled the battery cables off for 10 minutes. Not really sure, but I do want it figured out because I haven't cut the truck off again since we got it started back up this morning, and that is not something I want to be an ongoing issue for sure. But anyway, the engine, I did replace the engine, but everything else on the truck still got 523,000 miles on it, so stuff's gonna break, stuff's gonna give. Anyway, I'm gonna hop back off here and soak up the scenery and catch up with you guys a little bit later on. Good morning, guys. It is Friday, December the 1st, and it is snowing. So, didn't realize that was coming. We looked at the weather, and I don't think it's going to be enough to worry about. I hope not right now. So, and the temperature is 28 degrees. I'm hoping that comes up, but it is 4:50 in the morning Eastern time. It is 2:50 in the morning out here time. So we're about to get on the road. I went and got me showered last night. Feels so much better. Oh my gosh. It seemed like one thing after another with the truck. I had the wheel studs, and then had truck didn't want to start yesterday coming out of scale house, so I didn't worry about getting a shower because I figured I'd jump right back in and get greasy again. But so far so good. It is ran off fine all day yesterday, and then Ran all night last night idling. We did top off with fuel here at Wells because it was cheaper in Wells than it was Mill City this time. Usually my fuel stop is Mill City. And anyway, we stopped in here and realized that we should have had plenty of time, but we didn't really realize it's going to start snowing. I don't know how traffic's going to be moving with this. I don't run out here a lot. They'll probably just breeze right through it. Hopefully we won't go too far. We'll run completely out of it. That's what I'm thinking. But you guys see my shades have been up. I don't normally run the shades. I'll let you check this out. So noticing I got my shades up. You look behind me. And there's my rear view. So there's a camera mount on the back of the truck now. My buddy David got me this, David Cross. And it records through the camera on the back. Records to the camera on the front, records a split screen. Now if you notice, that's a lot bigger view than what we just had right there, and the reason for that is because it can't fit that big screen on the monitor. So if you're hooking up a fifth wheel, you can go right down in the bed and see your fifth wheel, and you can pull it back. If you're pulling a camper, you can see, pull it back and go plumb up over top of the camper. I just leave it right about there, and then the front does the same thing. So there's a truck pulling in, we can go up, we can go down. Oh, I really like it. For one, I leave my shades up all the time, where I like having a little fresh air from the sliding back glass, but I noticed I can crack it if it's not raining and it doesn't get my shade wet or messed up or anything like that. But I think that is pretty awesome. Like I say, Traveling Tim did a review on one not long ago too. This is the Wolfbox 840S. The link is in the description. If you guys want to look at it, check it out. And for a dash camera that records front and back, pretty daggone cool. Another thing, that when you play the videos back, you get to play them back on that big screen, and it's not real hard to see, where the smaller dash cams can be pretty hard to see. But, well, now that guy finally figured out he's in here, we are going to get pulled out on the road, and next stop should be Reno. Brad's RV in Reno. I still haven't cut it off since it didn't want to start for me the other morning. I'll be leaving here going to O'Reilly's and getting those relays. If you've never been to Brad's RV in Reno, it's now Blue Compass RV, and it is really tight quarters in here. They don't have a lot of room for anything. So they pull you around back on a side street, like a dead end road, and when they're ready for you, they pull you around here. But I am all unhooked, ready to go. As soon as she gets done checking me in, I'll be heading to O'Reilly's, picking up some relays, going back to the Petro, swapping those relays, and hoping the truck will start back up. But anyway, I'm gonna get finished up with this and get over to the Petro and get something to eat. I went to O'Reilly's yesterday to get the relays, and they didn't have them. They said they could order them, but it would be a couple of days before they could get them. They said I could order them at another one on down the road, but I got back over here to the Petro in Sparks, the Alamo Petro, and I cut it off, started back up. It's starting fine. I swapped the relays back around to put the fuel pump relay back in its spot. It's doing fine. I'm wondering if when I idled the night before, I let the fuel get down really low, and the low fuel light was on when I woke up next morning, and I'm thinking that fuel pump got hot, and I'm thinking it got the relay hot, and when I cut it off, that relay was hot, and it just, you know, I disconnected the batteries, we let it set for a little while, and it fired right back up. I'm hoping I'm okay now, but I'm not going to run my fuel that low again, because when the fuel light comes on, when your fuel level gets low, that lift pump in the tank sticks up out of the fuel, and it doesn't have the fuel on it to keep it cool, so I'm thinking that's what happened. It's been firing up like a top ever since, so hopefully I'm good and that was just a fluke. Well, after we sat and looked at the weather, what it was going to be doing back across 80 on the way back across, we decided we would take 93 down to Las Vegas, then I think it's 95 down to Kingman, and we went that way. These other two drivers were kind of in a hurry to get back home. I was going back after another load, but I didn't really want to fight the weather either. So coming back down through there, it is an absolutely beautiful ride. This video is straight off the rear view camera that I was showing you guys in the parking lot earlier. It records front and back, and I'm just blown away. I wished I'd have got it a lot earlier, and I can't say thanks enough to David for sending this to me. And here's a shot out of the front camera, and I'm loving this thing. Anyway, we did get to make a few stops on the way down. It is a gorgeous ride down through here. We stopped at Death Valley. We stopped at the Clown Motel in Tonopah, Nevada. We stopped quite a few different places and came out, made it down to Kingman that night. And just what a ride. If you guys haven't made this ride yet, I do recommend it for the scenery, but I also recommend stocking up on snacks, stocking up on fuel, DEF fluid, anything you might need down through there, because there's really not a lot down through there. It is a long ride that looks just like this the majority of the way through. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the trip. I hope you enjoyed the scenery. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.